Hello everyone, this is lecture 3 in the Residual Earnings series. And the aim of this lecture is to work you through a seminar question. So let's dive into the question. So we're told, as an analyst, you have been presented with the following pro forma for Lantra Corp in millions of pounds. That gives you forecasts of earnings and dividends for 2017 to 2019. You are expected to value the 1,200 million shares outstanding at the end of 2016, when the book value of common shareholders' equity stood at, well, 5,000 million pounds. Now, we are given a set of figures here, earnings and then dividend paid, and then we're told to use a required rate of return for equity of 10%. And we are told forecast the book value of equity and residual earnings for each of the years 2017 to 2019. Now, what I tend to do, and what I will do as usual, is I will break down this lecture, and so that it doesn't become too long. So, for each lecture, for each video, we will try to answer hopefully each of the requirements here, each part of the requirements. Let's take on the first part. So, we're told forecast the book value of equity and residual earnings for each of the years 2017 to 2019. Now, if you are stuck with what exactly is residual earnings, so you can go back to lecture 1 and lecture 2. But moving on from here, and what I like to do is this. I normally begin with drawing a timeline. And I know when it comes to the years 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, what I like to do is I like to work out a way to find out where we are standing. So at this moment, or based on this question, we are standing at year 2016. So I'll call that my year 0. And then obviously 2017 becomes year 1, 2018 year 2, and 2019 year 3. Let's start off by looking at equity. So we want to find out the equity figure for 2017. Now, the equity figure for 2017, well, think about it. It will comprise of the equity figure for 2016. So remember, we were told this was 5 million at the top. Yes. So we're told the equity stood at 5 million. But then whatever earnings we would have achieved in 2017, and we see that the earnings figure is 550. So whatever earnings we would have earned. But we are also told that based on the earnings, we also pay dividend. Now, you would have learned that we pay any dividend from whatever earnings we would have achieved. So minus, in this case, the dividend payment amounts to 150. So minus 150. So there you go. That will give us an equity figure of 5,400. Of course, everything is million, but let's keep it simple. 5,400. Now let's try to do the same thing for 2018. What would 2018 equity figure comprise of? Well, it will comprise of the equity figure for 2017 plus whatever earnings that we would have earned in 2018, and we're told this amounts to 620. But of course, minus any dividend that we would have paid in 2018, and we see that the dividend amounts to 160. And that would be, that would be our equity figure for 2018. So 5860, 5,860. And let's try to do the same thing, well, for 2019. What would the 2019 equity figure comprise of? Well, it will comprise of the equity figure of 2018. So that's 5860 plus whatever earnings we would have achieved in 2019, 650 minus any dividend paid. So 650 minus and we're told the dividend is 250. So there you go. That's the equity figure for 2019, 2017, 2018, and 2019. Then we are also told in part A, calculate the residual earnings for each of the years, 2017 to 2019. Now, if you remember from lecture 1 and 2, residual earnings is your earnings figure minus CSE multiplied by the required rate of return. And we know from this lecture, the required rate of return, well, it's 10%. Now, how to work out the residual earnings for 2017? The residual earnings for 2017 is whatever earnings we would have achieved in 2017. So we see that amounts to 550 minus, well, when we are in 2017, what were the shareholders expecting to get? Well, they're expecting a return on equity of 10%. So they were expecting 10% in 2017 of whatever equity was invested at the beginning of the year. So going back to 2016, so end of 2016, the equity figure stood at 5 million. So in fact, the shareholders were expecting a required rate of return of 10%, of 5,000. So there it goes, 5,000 multiplied by 0.1. Oops, done something wrong here. So 550, that's the earnings minus 10% of 5,000. There you go. And the residual earnings amounts to 50 for 2017. Let's try to do the same thing for 2018. Well, what were the shareholders expecting in 2018? First of all, let's look at whatever earnings we have in 2018. So that's 620. Earnings is 620. So 620 minus, well, think about it. When we are 2018, it means that whatever equity that we would have earned, remember the equity in 2017 would have been reinvested back into the business. So in 2018, we were expecting 10% of the equity figure that was invested or reinvested, if you want, at the beginning of 2017. Now, what does this one comes to? So let's see. Yep, and that comes to 80. So residual earnings in 2018 comes to 80. And let's try to complete for 2019. So what's the deal with 2019? What is the earnings for 2019? The earnings is 650. So 650 minus, well, the equity figure that we started off 2019 with, and we started off 2019, or the equity figure that was reinvested in 2019 was the one at close of 2018. So 5860 multiplied by 10%. And that gives you a residual earnings of 64. So there you go. I'm going to stop the video here. Please have a go in your own time. And I will see you in the next video for the rest of the question.